Elen is the reindeer goddess of the Boreal Forest, the largest forest on Earth that extends all around the northern hemisphere, from the tundra down to the latitude of the southern tip of Cornwall. Britain was part of it. The Greeks called the north wind Boreas and named Britain Hyperborea, meaning the land behind the north wind. So we British are the Hyperboreans. The Boreal Forest is the world of the reindeer. They thrived there, and reindeer lived in the Highlands of Scotland until around 8,000 years ago when, because of climate change, farming and hunting, they became extinct. Reindeer are the only deer where the female, as well as the male, carries antlers. Elen is the Antler Goddess. Her symbol is the antlered female reindeer, and it's prevalent all over the northern hemisphere. The earliest picture so far found in Britain is a beautifully stylized drawing of a reindeer found in 2011 in Cathole Cave in West Wales, which dates from 14,500 years ago, nearly 5,000 years before the end of the last ice age. Humans first arrived in Britain 1 million years ago, and one of the reasons they came was to follow the reindeer as they migrated northwards each time the ice drew back. Reindeer gave them all they needed for life: food, clothing, housing, bone for tools and needles, sinew for threads, antlers for more tools, and for carving into beautiful and probably sacred objects. The Sami people in Finland, the Caribou folk of Northwest America, and the Mongolian reindeer people still live in a similar way to our Paleolithic ancestors here in Britain. Elen is old. She has been with us all those millennia. Stories of her abound, and so do her place names throughout the country. She is known as Elen of the Ways, and this title comes from the old story in the Mabinogion of her wedding with Macsen Wledig. Macsen is the Brythonic form of the Latin name Maximus. He was a real person as well as a god figure, as happens a lot in our stories. A Spanish Roman general who came to Britain and is sometimes called emperor. His title, Wledig, is Brythonic and means of the land. It's like the Latin derived word pagan and the French derived peasant from paysan, which also mean of the land. Macsen's title is about him becoming the king of the land, and this means he is a guardian of the goddess, Elen. One of the ways of confirming a king in his job of kingship was that he was carried to the sacred place, often the top of a hill, and his foot was set in the footprint of an ancient stone. She gave Macsen the job after he'd proved he could be a worthy guardian. Like all our old powers, Elen is a trickster. She tests to see if a man is up to being her guardian, good enough for the job. Our old folk songs tell this story, like the Coal Blacksmith, which tells how the goddess makes her potential mate chase her to see if he can catch her. Only if he succeeds will she accept him as her guardian. To lure Macsen to her, Elen sends him a tricksy dream that teases and inspires him to find her. If he succeeds, he'll demonstrate that he has the nous and the gumption to be a good enough guardian. Macsen succeeds, taking the customary year and a day to do it. So she weds him. The morning after the consummation, Elen asks Macsen for the cowl, the morning gift the bridegroom gives the bride after their wedding night. She asks him to build her 3 kyres, strongholds, cauldron places, the word kyre relating to cauldron, so he does. She then builds the roads, the ways, that link between them, and so holds the title of the Ways. On maps of Wales you can still see a few physical remains of the Sarn Elens, Elen's Ways. Our old lore is worse than the Zen riddles of the sound of one hand clapping, very riddling and quite deliberately confusing. We use riddles and confusion to make students work for the wisdom, so they prove to themselves and the goddess that they really know it. It's like Elen testing Macsen, so he has to use all his skills, wits and imagination to succeed. When we work with the old stories, rather than just read them and make the connections for ourselves, we know their deep meanings in our bones. The goddess never spoon feeds, never makes it easy. She wants us to prove our worth. The old Scottish deer goddesses are authoritative, commanding, imposing, reliable and trustworthy, dependable, and they are respected. They are part of the earth and linked to their place with deep spiritual bonds. The people of Iceland still recognize this much more openly than we can, as yet, do here in Britain. But it will come. Our old ways are returning as Elen is calling us. The people who live in these places where we visited knew themselves to be of that land, Wledig or pagan to that spirit of place. The goddess's representative on earth in the everyday world is the Queen. Kings and queens in the old British tradition are different to the modern interpretation of those words. The root of the word queen is the Sanskrit word jani. It means woman having sovereign rule. The queen is sovereignty. She is the goddess of the land here in the everyday. The queen is the representative of goddess on earth. The goddess, Elen, gives life to all of her creation. She is the womb of life, the receptive. The king is her guardian. It is his semen that fertilizes and impregnates her with the newness of the creative. Elen is always a queen, and she didn't have to wed with a king to become one. She is sovereignty. She has sovereign rule, and so is able to confer sovereignty onto her spouse, making him a king as she does with Macsen. In the Scottish myths, the goddess is also the hags, and hags are also the healers and midwives of both birth and death. They are known as the creators/destroyers, both gentle and fierce at the same time, holding within themselves the pairs of opposites. The fairy cattle, the deer, are always in the care of the goddesses, never the god. It is the fairy women who own, herd and milk the deer. They can shapeshift themselves into deer as well. The tales of the women who wear antlers on their heads, and so are representatives of Elen the Antlered Goddess, are still told down on Dartmoor. It is always the feminine who works directly with the deer, but they have their guardians. They are partnered by the masculine, usually in the shape of antlered gods like Gwynab, and even Merlin, who wears antlers and shifts into stag form in some of his tales. But the masculine is never the keeper of the deer, only their guardian. It is the feminine who keep, preserve, maintain and sustain the deer. They mind them, protect and shelter them, watch over them. The fairy women, the banshee, are the mistresses of the deer. They are lovers, teachers, managers, keepers, and riders of the deer. They sing to their deer, call them darling deer and beast of my love, and denote on them. The banshee are also called Cailleach, or sometimes Cailleach Mór, meaning huge old woman, and are the spirits of place of the local ben, mountain, strath, big river valley, river or wood or grove. They are always gigantic, awesome, magnificent creatures, giantesses. Mackay says of them, they none of them wield or distaff, pitchfork or broom. They are all creatures of the wild, in no way domesticated. Their old tales read more like chapters in a natural history book than the modern human-oriented stories we may be used to, specifically from the Victorian Romantic times. The stories are not about people but about the land, about the earth herself, and the goddess as she shows herself to us. Mackay suggests that this shows great antiquity to the stories, and for us it harks all the way back to Palaeolithic times. They also hide and conceal the deer, protect them from those who would harm them in the sense of being greedy, and so will withhold the deer and curb those who would take too much. As hunter-gatherers, We hunted, but oh so differently from modern sports hunters. We knew hunting and killing a beast is a sacred task. The beast is a gift of the goddess, so we knew to ask her permission, and knew how we were answered by the beast, making it quite obvious that he or she is the one we should kill. We honored the life that gave us life. The exquisite cave paintings found around Europe show us this sacred task. The old tales tell how the goddess came to dislike hunters when they became selfish and greedy, making depredations on the herds, taking far more than they needed, allowing the idea of profit to take hold, and not asking the goddess for permission to hunt. This harks back to Neolithic times when humans began to clear the forests for agriculture, and so to steal habitat from wildlife and from the goddess herself. Our hunter-gatherer ancestors didn't do this. They only ever took what they needed, never greedy, but working with the goddess, the seasons, and the land, not attempting to control it as we do now. We need to get back to this sort of thinking. Shamanic people everywhere know the interconnectedness of all life, know our bodies, like those of all animals and plants, are made from the atoms that make up Mother Earth. Those same atoms that make up your skin, organs, brain and bones have all been atoms of rock, cabbage, cat, motorcar, concrete, and other people before they became part of you. They always have been, and they will all be parts of something else again, when you no longer need them. Your spirit builds your body out of earth atoms. Your body is a spacesuit for it to live in on planet Earth duration your incarnation. At the end, when your body dies, your spirit no longer needs it, so gives all these atoms back to Earth to become other things. Knowing we are all made of the same stuff, just each of it is put together differently, makes such a huge difference to how you live. Living intimately with Elen enables you to come to know this in your bones. You stop trying to hang on to things, learn to let things go and make space for the new, continual learning and growing within yourself. And all the time you still follow the old ways of asking and listening to the goddess, respecting and honoring her, knowing yourself to be a part of the whole. In consequence, you know how to live with the earth rather than trying to control and modify her to suit yourself, as so many people do nowadays. The earth feels better for this, and so do you. This is what Elen teaches us as we follow her, dear trods. Want to learn more? Then please take a look at our book, Shaman Pathways, Elen of the Ways by Ellen Sentier, who also provided the words for this video. Elen of the Ways is about the ancient shamanism of Britain. Ellen Sentier grew up in a long family lineage of following the dear trods. In this book, she tells of the old forgotten ways of our ancestors. Through her own experience, stories, practical exercises and journeys with the deer, Elen takes you into the realm of the Boreal Forest, of which Britain is a part, to show how the deer goddess is the spirit of this land. To walk the deer trods is to realise how close and connected you are to nature and everything in this beautiful world which we share with our non-human brethren. You learn too that our everyday world and other world are intertwined. Elen of the Ways is both here and there at the same time. You will find her everywhere. It's available from Moonbooks Publishing. Thank you so much for watching. A special thank you to our members. You too can become a member by hitting the join button. Subscribe for weekly videos, ring the bell for notifications, and we will see you next time.